Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you've been following the world of reality TV, family dynasties, and frankly, the drama that unfolds when cameras stop rolling but real life very much does not, you know the name Roloff. For nearly 2 decades, Little People, Big World wasn't just a show, it was a window into a unique family, their dreams, their struggles, and their sprawling farm in Hillsboro, Oregon. It was about love, resilience, and the complexities of life when you see the world from a different perspective. But today, we're not talking about a new season or a family update. We're talking about an ending. A permanent, legal, scorched earth ending that seems to be barreling toward the Roloff family like a freight train. The whispers have become shouts, the behind-the-scenes tension has exploded into public view, and a single, powerful word is now hanging over the future of everything they built: lawsuit. This isn't just another family squabble. This has the distinct, grim feeling of a finale. So, let's break it down. Let's connect the dots from the idyllic early days of Roloff Farms to this very moment, where Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler aren't just facing family estrangement, they're potentially facing a legal and financial battle that could dismantle the Little People, Big World legacy forever. Strap in, because this story has it all: money, land, betrayal, and a family business hanging in the balance. To understand why this potential lawsuit is so catastrophic, we have to rewind to the heart of the show, Roloff Farms. This wasn't just a plot of land, it was Matt Roloff's life's work, his magnum opus. He transformed it from a simple homestead into a theme park-like destination, complete with pumpkin season attractions, a pirate ship, and a castle. It was the physical and emotional set of their show. The farm was Little People, Big World. But as the kids grew up, got married, and started their own lives, the future of the farm became the central question. Who would take it over? For years, the narrative centered on Zach and Tori Roloff. They seemed the most invested, the most likely to carry on the legacy. Jeremy and Audrey had moved on to their own ventures and life philosophies. Molly was entirely out of the spotlight. Jacob had his own complicated history with the farm and the show. So, the natural assumption was, Zach and Tori would buy the farm, the show would continue with the next generation, and the Roloff empire would live on. But then, the deal fell apart. And this, right here, is ground zero for the current crisis. In 2022, negotiations for Zach and Tori to purchase a large portion of the farm, the iconic big house and 16 acres, collapsed spectacularly. Publicly, the reasons were framed as business disagreements. Matt felt the kids weren't offering a fair price, especially given the property's valuation and the sentimental value he'd built into it. Zach and Tori felt Matt was being unreasonable, moving goalposts, and ultimately, not treating them like family, but like difficult business clients. The emotional fallout was immediate and devastating. Zach explicitly stated he felt his father had chosen the farm and money over his family. The trust was shattered. They moved to Washington State, physically and symbolically turning their backs on the dream of inheriting Roloff Farms. The on-screen tension was palpable, and the off-screen rift was clearly permanent. This is our crucial context. The lawsuit we're now discussing isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the volcanic eruption after years of seismic rifts. Enter Caryn Chandler. The family friend turned farm manager turned Matt's partner. Their relationship began while Matt was still married to Amy, a fact that has forever colored the family's dynamic and audience perception. Caryn has long been viewed by some of the kids, and a large portion of the fanbase, as an outsider, an interloper, and potentially an influencer in Matt's decisions. After the fallout with Zach, Matt's primary life partnership is firmly with Caryn. They live together on the farm, they run the business together, and they present a united front. From their perspective, they are protecting Matt's life's work, his financial security, and their future together. They have built a fortress around themselves, both physically on the farm and emotionally. But here's where perception becomes critical. To Zach, Jeremy, and even Amy, who has her own complicated history but remains the children's mother, this alliance can look like isolation. It can look like Caryn has Matt's ear in a way they no longer do. Decisions about the farm, the family's legacy asset, now seem to be made by Matt and Caryn, not Dad and the family. This creates a powerful us versus them narrative. The kids may feel alienated from not just their father, but from the very asset that represents their childhood and their family's public identity. And when you feel alienated from something you believe is part of your birthright, and you see an outsider playing a key role in its control, that's a recipe for profound resentment and, eventually, legal action. Now, let's get into the meat of the current firestorm. Rumors of a lawsuit have been swirling in fan forums and hinted at in vague social media posts for months. But recently, those rumors have gained concrete, alarming traction. Reports, allegedly from sources close to the family, suggest that Zach and Jeremy Roloff are seriously exploring, or may have already initiated, legal proceedings against their father, Matt and Caryn Chandler. What would this lawsuit be about? It's unlikely to be a simple "we're upset" case. In the world of high-stakes family reality TV, lawsuits typically revolve around two things: money and intellectual property. Scenario 1, the financial/inheritance lawsuit. This could take several forms. The sons might allege elder influence or undue influence, arguing that Caryn has isolated Matt from his children and is influencing his financial decisions to her benefit and their detriment. They could potentially challenge the ownership structure of Roloff Farms' assets, especially if there were past promises or understandings about inheritance that have now been altered. If there are family trusts or business entities that involve the kids, disputes over those could explode into litigation. Essentially, they could be going to court to force a financial reckoning and protect what they see as their future inheritance from being diverted. Scenario 2, the Little People, Big World brand lawsuit. This is even more existential. Little People, Big World is a lucrative brand. The show has generated millions over its 25-plus seasons. The family's likeness, their stories, their farm, it's all part of a commercial enterprise. Questions arise: who owns the rights to the family's collective story? Did the kids, who grew up on camera, receive fair compensation? Are there back-end profits they are owed? Now that the family is fractured, and the show primarily focuses on Matt and Caryn's life on the farm, do Zach and Jeremy have a claim that the show is still profiting from their legacy, their childhood, and the family unit they were part of, without proper compensation or consent? A lawsuit could be an attempt to audit the books, claim owed royalties, or even block the future use of their names and images in the franchise. Why this is the nuclear option? A lawsuit isn't a family meeting. It's a hostile, adversarial process conducted through lawyers. Every dirty secret, every financial record, every bitter text message and email can become discoverable, public record. It would force a judge, a stranger, to dissect the family's most painful wounds. For a show built on heartwarming reality, this would be its absolute antithesis. TLC would likely have no choice but to cancel the show immediately. No network wants to air a season while its stars are suing each other in real time. The brand would be toxic. So, if this lawsuit proceeds, what does ending Little People, Big World forever actually look like? 1. The immediate cancellation. As mentioned, TLC would almost certainly pull the plug. The show's premise is fractured beyond repair. You cannot film a cohesive family dynamic when the family is engaged in a legal war. 2. The financial bleeding. Lawsuits are viciously expensive. Attorney fees for a case like this could easily soar into the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, for all parties. It would drain family resources regardless of who wins. Matt might have to sell parcels of the farm just to pay his legal team. The very asset they're fighting over could be liquidated to fund the fight. 3. The permanent family fracture. This is the human cost. A lawsuit doesn't leave room for reconciliation. It codifies the betrayal into legal briefs. It would likely sever the relationship between Matt and his sons, and by extension, his grandchildren, for generations. The family gatherings, the holidays, any hope of a future peace would be incinerated in the courtroom. 4. The legacy destroyed. Little People, Big World was pioneering. It brought dwarfism into mainstream living rooms with empathy and normalcy. It showed a family overcoming challenges. That legacy would be permanently overshadowed by a bitter, public legal battle over money and control. The final chapter in the public record would not be one of inspiration, but of greed and discord. 5. The farm's fate. Roloff Farms, as a public attraction, survives on the fame of the show. No show, significantly reduced fame. A nasty lawsuit tarnishes the brand further. The farm could become a symbol of sadness and conflict rather than joy and family. Its financial viability as a tourist destination would be in serious jeopardy, forcing a potential full sale to developers. It seems dire, and that's because it is. But is there an off-ramp? A way to avoid this? The only potential path is a radical, painful, and private reconciliation. It would require total disengagement from the public, no more social media subtweets, no interviews hinting at drama. A complete media blackout. A neutral, professional mediator, not a TV producer, but a highly skilled family business mediator or therapist, working in absolute confidentiality. Matt and Caryn would have to be willing to sit at a table with Zach, Jeremy, and likely Amy, and listen to their grievances without defensiveness. They would have to address the core issues of trust, perceived influence, and the future of the assets with transparent financials. Zach and Jeremy would have to be willing to move past the personal hurt, a monumental task, and engage in a business negotiation, potentially accepting a buyout of any claims or a restructured, clear inheritance plan. Letting go of the show, they might all have to collectively agree that the TV show, as a source of income and a lens on their lives, is over. That its presence now only fuels the conflict. It's a tall, tall order. The ego, the pain, and the money involved make it a Herculean task. Pride is often the final obstacle to peace. So, here we are. At the precipice. Little people, big world taught us that families are complicated, that love is messy, and that legacies are hard to build but shockingly easy to break. The potential lawsuit between the Roloff sons and Matt and Caryn isn't just another celebrity gossip story. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when business, fame, and family become so entangled that you can't separate one from the other without destroying them all. The farm, the show, the family's public image, they are all dominoes in a line. And the first domino to fall was trust. The lawsuit would be the shove that knocks them all down, loudly and publicly, for the world to see. We might be watching the final season play out not on TLC, but in court documents. And when the gavel finally falls, it won't just decide a legal case, it will echo as the definitive, sad closing sound for an era that once felt so big, and now feels tragically, irreparably small. What do you think? Is there any hope left for the Roloffs, or is this truly the end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an update on this developing story. Thanks for watching, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're a fan of TLC's Little People, Big World, buckle up, because we are diving deep into the drama that has completely flipped the script on this long-running family saga. The title of this video is not clickbait. We are talking about seismic shifts, jaw-dropping accusations, and a family fracture that seems, at this point, completely and utterly irreparable. For nearly 2 decades, we invited the Roloffs into our living rooms. We watched the kids grow up. We celebrated the weddings, we worried through the health scares, and we marveled at the sheer work ethic on that famous Roloff Farms. It was charming, it was real, it was relatable family TV. But behind the scenes? The story was curdling. The business of the farm, the end of Matt and Amy's marriage, the new relationships, it all created a toxic stew of resentment, money, and betrayal. And the central figure in this latest and most explosive chapter? Amy Roloff. The woman who was often portrayed as the pragmatic, sometimes frustrated voice of reason against Matt's grandiose dreamer persona. For years, fans felt she was sidelined, both in her marriage and in the narrative. But let me tell you something, Amy is sidelined and no longer. In a series of calculated, powerful, and emotionally charged moves, Amy has not only secured her future but has allegedly exposed actions by Matt and Caryn that have left the fanbase and, reportedly, even their own family, reeling. We're talking about accusations of financial manipulation on a massive scale. The phrase, "caught stealing millions," is being thrown around. This isn't just family squabble anymore, this has entered the realm of serious legal and ethical allegations. So, how did we get here? What did Amy allegedly uncover? And what does this mean for the future of the farm, the family, and the show itself? We're going to break it all down. This is a 5,000-word deep dive into the ruinous war of the Roloffs. To understand the nuclear fallout of today, we have to rewind. The Matt and Amy divorce wasn't clean. It was a grueling, protracted process played out in seasons of LPBW. The core asset? Roloff Farms. The 100-plus acre property in Hillsboro, Oregon, wasn't just a plot of land, it was the family's identity, the set of their TV show, and a multi-million-dollar asset. Amy initially wanted to keep her half of the main house. Matt wanted full control of the farm's business operations. After a brutal back-and-forth, a deal was struck in 2016. Amy sold her share of the main house and 16 acres of the farm to Matt for a reported $975,000. She retained ownership of a separate parcel on the property where her own little house sat. Crucially, she also retained a 50% ownership stake in the core 34-acre farm property, the heart of the business with the pumpkin season attractions, the big red barn, all of it. This is the most critical piece of the puzzle. Amy was a silent partner in the business, but a partner nonetheless. Matt, as the operational manager, ran the day-to-day. The divorce was finalized, both moved on. Matt got serious with Caryn Chandler, the farm's former office manager. Amy found love and married Chris Merrick. On the surface, a peaceful, if awkward, coexistence seemed possible. But almost immediately, the cracks showed. Fans watched as Matt and Caryn, now living together in the big house, seemed to treat the entire farm as their personal dominion. Amy's visits to her own property were portrayed as intrusions. There were constant, subtle power plays. Matt would make major changes to shared areas without, according to Amy, proper consultation. The narrative pushed on the show was often of Amy being difficult, emotional, stuck in the past, while Matt and Caryn were the forward-thinking, efficient caretakers of the Roloff legacy. Behind this TV narrative, a real and bitter business dispute was festering. Amy felt sidelined in decisions. She claimed Matt was not being transparent with the farm's finances. The partnership, built on a fragile post-divorce truce, was crumbling. The trigger for the all-out war? The sale of the farm. In 2022, Matt made a bombshell announcement. He wanted to sell the entire 100-plus acre property and retire. He offered his children, Zach, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob, the chance to buy the 16 acres he owned, the part he bought from Amy, plus the business. But the deal was complex and, according to the kids, weighted heavily in Matt's favor with seller financing at a high interest rate. Only Zach and his wife Tori were seriously interested, but even they balked at the terms. The deal fell apart spectacularly, leading to a now infamous estrangement between Matt and Zach. Here's where Amy's position as the 50% owner of the key 34 acres became massively powerful. Matt couldn't sell the farm's heart without her. Then, in early 2023, a revelation came out. Matt himself had offered to buy Amy's 50% share of the 34-acre farm property for $4 million. Think about that number. $4 million for half of 34 acres. This valued the entire core farm at $8 million. A huge sum. But Amy said no. She refused. At the time, fans were confused. Why wouldn't she take the money, sever ties completely, and ride off into the sunset with Chris? Now, we are learning that Amy's refusal may have been the smartest financial decision of her life, and it was based on a stunning suspicion. Sources close to Amy have suggested that she and her advisors began to deeply scrutinize the farm's financials around this time. And what they allegedly found was the basis for the caught stealing accusation. The allegation, as it's being pieced together by insiders and hinted at in Amy's vague but pointed social media comments, is this: that Matt, and by extension, Caryn, who was deeply involved in farm management, had been systematically diverting farm profits or undervaluing the business for years, potentially to force Amy into selling her share for less than its true worth. How could this happen? Let's theorize based on common partnership disputes. 1. Creative accounting, allegedly using farm revenue for excessive managerial salaries, for Matt and Caryn, or charging personal expenses to the farm business, thereby reducing the profit that would be shared with Amy. 2. Asset manipulation, potentially separating lucrative aspects of the business, like exclusive TV filming rights, or vendor contracts, into separate entities controlled solely by Matt. 3. The undervaluation play, offering $4 million for her half might have seemed generous, but if the true market value of the property and the booming, TV-fueled business was actually $15 or $20 million, then her half would be worth $7.5 to $10 million. By allegedly obscuring the true financial health, the $4 million offer could have been an attempt to steal her equity. Amy's no was a checkmate move. It wasn't just refusal, it was an accusation. It was her saying, "I don't trust your numbers, and I believe this asset is worth far, far more." While Matt was failing to sell to his kids and failing to buy out Amy, a third party emerged, a wealthy neighbor. And Amy, now armed with her own valuation and a burning desire for justice and financial security, engaged. In mid-2023, the unthinkable happened for Matt. Amy sold her 50% share of the 34-acre farm property, but not to him. She sold it to the neighbor. And the price? A staggering $10.5 million. Let that sink in. Matt offered her $4 million. She turned around and sold her half for $10.5 million. That means the neighbor paid $10.5 million for a 50% stake, implying they valued the entire 34-acre core at $21 million. More than double Matt's implied valuation of $8 million with his $4 million offer. This was an absolute masterstroke by Amy. It achieved several things. 1. Financial vindication. It proved, in hard cash, that her share was worth more than twice what Matt claimed. This sale price is the strongest public evidence supporting her allegations of financial foul play. 2. Strategic entanglement. She didn't just sell to anyone, she sold to a third party who now owns half of Matt's life's work. Matt no longer has to deal with his ex-wife, he now has a business partner who has no emotional ties to him, who paid a premium, and who will demand transparency and performance. This is arguably a worse scenario for Matt than dealing with Amy. 3. Total liberation. Amy walked away with $10.5 million, free and clear. She is now utterly financially independent, with no ties to the farm or to Matt's drama. She won. But the sale did something else, it ripped the mask off. In the aftermath, Amy has been more vocal than ever. In interviews and on social media, she has used phrases like "the truth always comes out," "I had to protect myself and my family," and "it's sad when people show you who they really are." She has openly spoken about being taken advantage of and finally having a voice. Every comment is a laser-guided missile aimed at Matt and Caryn's credibility. So, are Matt and Caryn destroyed? Let's assess the damage. Financially, Matt is now locked in a 50-50 partnership with a stranger on his most valuable asset. His dream of having total control of the farm is dead forever. Any major decision requires his new partner's approval. His ability to freely leverage the asset is crippled. The $10.5 million price tag also publicly humiliated him, suggesting he either grossly mismanaged the valuation or was caught in a scheme to lowball his ex-wife. His reputation as a business genius, a core part of his persona, is in tatters. Familially, the damage is catastrophic. Zach and Tori are firmly Team Amy. Jeremy and Audrey are distant, focused on their own lives. Jacob has long been estranged. Molly stays out of it. The grandchildren's relationships with Matt are strained. He is portrayed by Amy's allies as putting Caryn and money ahead of his own children and grandchildren. The family's public brand, their little people, big world unity, is shattered. Personally and publicly, their reputation among the LPBW fanbase has undergone a massive inversion. For years, the edit and the narrative favored Matt and Caryn as the competent, love-struck couple building a new life. Now, the court of public opinion, fueled by Amy's financial victory and her hints of betrayal, has swung violently. Caryn, in particular, is viewed by many fans as the manipulative stepmother figure who aided in alienating Matt from his family and allegedly in the financial squeezing of Amy. Comment sections on their social media are filled with accusations of greed and betrayal. They are, in the court of fan opinion, morally bankrupt. Legally, while caught stealing millions is a dramatic phrase, if Amy's team has hard evidence of financial malfeasance, diverted funds, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, this could very well move from the court of public opinion to an actual court of law. A civil lawsuit from Amy against Matt, and possibly Caryn, for misappropriation of partnership assets is not outside the realm of possibility. The $6.5 million difference between his offer and her sale price could be the starting point for damages. Little People, Big World is now a show with no central family unit. It's fractured into three camps: 1. Amy and Chris, living off the farm, financially thriving, morally victorious. 2. Matt and Caryn, on the farm, but besieged and partnered with a stranger. 3. The scattered kids, most of whom want little to do with the main drama. What is the show's premise now? Watching Matt argue with his business partner? Watching Amy enjoy her wealth? The charming family dynamics are gone, replaced by a bitter postscript of divorce and litigation. The show's ratings have been in decline, and this toxic atmosphere may be its final chapter. The Roloff story has become a cautionary tale, not an inspirational one. Will Amy sue? This is the biggest sword of Damocles hanging over Matt. Does she have the evidence, and the will, to pursue legal action for past financial damages? What is the new partner's plan? Does this neighbor have a vision for the farm that conflicts with Matt's? Will they force a buyout of Matt's share, or even push to develop the land? Will the family ever reconcile? With Amy victorious and Matt humiliated, the bridge for reconciliation with Zach and the grandkids seems longer than ever. The birth of new grandchildren, holidays, these events are now minefields. Will Matt and Caryn marry? Their relationship has been tested in the fire of this crisis. Will they solidify their partnership, or will the pressure crack it? The story of the Roloffs is no longer about little people navigating a big world, it's a stark, Shakespearean drama about money, power, betrayal, and the shocking aftermath of a broken family empire. Amy Roloff, once seen by many as the underdog, played the long game. She endured, she investigated, she held her ground, and in one breathtaking move, she secured not just her fortune, but her freedom and her voice. Matt Roloff, the visionary builder, is now a prisoner in his own kingdom, shackled to a partner he didn't choose and haunted by the accusations of the family he alienated. Caryn Chandler's dream of being the farm's queen now sits on a throne of thorns, under the relentless scrutiny of a furious public. The title said Matt and Caryn were destroyed by Amy. Are they financially ruined? Probably not. But their legacy, their family narrative, and their control over the world they built has been utterly dismantled. Amy didn't just win, she rewrote the ending of their story. This is a reminder that what we see on reality TV is a curated fragment. The real battles are fought in silence, in accountants' offices, in legal documents, and in the quiet, steely resolve of someone who finally decides they've had enough. What do you think? Is there any path back for the Roloffs? Do you think Amy will take further legal action? And can, or should, Little People, Big World continue? Sound off in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the latest updates on this ongoing saga. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay sharp.